You may think you know my story. Trust me, you don't.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Dam Dam. How you doing? If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the family. Thank you so much for subscribing and joining me to grow my channel. And to all my loving and existing subscribers, I love you. Thank you so much. So I was going through Netflix trying to look at what to watch, and I stumbled upon the movie Mary, and I was like, okay, I was curious, like this could be interesting, this could be a movie to watch with family, because one, Mary, like we all know, is the mother of Jesus, right? I assumed it was going to be like a Christian movie that you can sit down and watch with family, and this movie was released towards December, like few weeks or days to Christmas. So I thought it was going to be a good family movie to just sit down and chill to watch with your family and friends, right? But I was wrong. This movie, I really did not know the category to put this movie, and then I went after seeing the movie. Don't worry, I'm going to give you more information about the movie. After seeing the movie, I went ahead to do my findings to know who directed the movie, who wrote the script, who produced the movie, and then I realized that the movie was directed by DJ Caruso, and Pastor Joel Osteen is an executive producer of the movie. And then I was like, a little bit disappointed, but I'm not going to say anything regarding that aspect, okay? But I'm just going to review the movie as a Christian watching it. I'm just going to review it from that point of view, so you can know that I am not like criticizing the movie, but I'm just like, this was how I was feeling when I was watching the movie. This movie started with the scene where Mary and Joseph escaped, from the hands of Herod, and she already had delivered the baby Jesus. And then she stood carrying the baby Jesus and saying that, so I'll try not to spoil it, right? I don't want to, if you still want to watch the movie, please go ahead and watch it. And then Mary stood carrying the baby Jesus and saying that, you might think you know my story, but trust me, you don't. Now, this to me means that this story is supposed to be the real original story of Mary. That means that anything that we see moving forward from that scene means that that is the accurate, truth about Mary. So biblical movies sometimes, can cause a lot of controversy, because most times these movies are like interpreted and directed and produced and acted by unbelievers, by the regular secular Hollywood actors, like the movies Noah, like the movies of Exodus, of Moses in the Bible. Many of these movies have caused a lot of controversies in the faith amongst the Christians, the Muslims, the Catholics, and all that. So biblical movies, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't get it right. But from what I've seen, a lot of biblical movies, they most times do not get it right. And also because there is the artistic license, the license to be able to make the story more artistic. The director and producer adds one or two things based on their imagination, based on their craft, and they can just turn the story anyhow they want to turn it to. So let's talk about the movie now, right? One, I am not criticizing the movie. The movie was brilliantly acted. Let's give it up for Anthony Hopkins that played King Herod. He played that role perfectly. He literally ate the role. He played that role perfectly. Herod was a ruthless king, and Anthony Hopkins played that role. And of course, we all know that Anthony Hopkins is a fantastic, phenomenal actor. So the actors and actresses, they played each of their role perfectly. The movie was beautifully done, perfectly done. The cinematography, everything was on point. So yes, it's a good movie, but is it biblical? So that's the question. And is it 100% accurate? That's the question. How do we classify this movie? What type of movie do we classify it to be? Is this movie for everyone? It's supposed to be a family movie, but is it a family movie? Is it for everyone? Is it PG-13 or PG-18? Is it a romantic movie or a violent action movie? Like, where do we place the movie Mary? Now, so the angel appears to Joachim and then tells him that he is going to be blessed with a daughter, and the daughter is going to be the chosen one. Moving on, Joachim goes back to his wife, excited, and his wife also had an encounter with Angel Gabriel, the same creepy Angel Gabriel in blue, by the way. And so they both, literally met, and then they gave birth to the baby Mary. Then the movie goes on showing Mary as a very beautiful young girl, inquisitive. She's loved by her parents, which, by the way, I like. I like the fact that it showed the closeness between Mary and her parents. That is nice to know that Mary had, a loving father, a loving mother, right? That was nice. Showed their closeness, right? Then showed the baby growing to be a very wonderful, inquisitive, intelligent, and loving girl. And then she grew to be this young girl, and then she was taken to the temple. But previously, Angel Gabriel told Joachim that he should dedicate her to the temple. Okay, she was in the temple. Now she was growing in the temple. Meanwhile, as she was growing, the story of Herod the king, the ruthless king, was also ongoing. Herod doing what he knows how to do best, being ruthless, was also ongoing. Then she goes to the river, right? I think to wash. And then she was there. Then the handsome, cute Joseph was directed by the creepy Angel Gabriel so that he's going to see Mary and then fall in love with Mary. That was cute. That moment in the water was cute. Because initially he wasn't going to that direction, but the angel appeared, very creepy, and made him go that way. And he did. And then he saw this beautiful angel, beautiful Mary, right there by the river, trying to get something from the river. I think a clothes fell in the river, and then he was like, oh my God, who is this cute girl? And that's what we call love at first sight. I'm just being goofy right here. And yes, he was like taken with her beauty, her innocence. He was like, who is this angel? And then he fell into the water and was like, let me help you. And then she was like, you are crazy. And then she ran off. And then he was like, what's your name? That whole part is giving me love in the air. Then we see Joseph going to knock on Mary's father's door. Give me your daughter's hand in marriage. I want your daughter's hand in marriage. And Joachim was like, who is this crazy guy? And then Joachim says, you want to marry Mary. He said, oh, is that her name? He didn't know the name of the girl he wanted to marry. How cute. And Joachim said, no, I'm not going to give you my daughter's hand in marriage. No. But Mary's mother, Anne, was like, why can't we give her to him to marry? And then Joachim was like, no, she has been, she has been sent to the temple. She is for the Lord. She's for the Lord. She has been sent to the temple. She cannot be married. And then Anne was like, no, she can still be married. Any which ways, Anne went to Mary in the temple and told her that her father is ready to give her out to marry. And she was like, no, Ma, I am for the Lord. I am for the Lord. And then the mother was like, no, you can still marry. She wasn't initially happy about it, but she went ahead and accepted to marry someone she has never met. someone that she didn't even know. She agreed to marry the person that her parents brought to her. She even did not know that that person she was marrying is Joseph, the same guy that she met at the riverside. She actually knew who he was at the introduction. So it was like, then Joseph came to the temple with Mary's parents before the priest, and then there was a proper introduction. Then Mary was like, oh, so it's you. And I'm like, okay. No words. Okay, let's just go on. So all this happened, and then they were introduced, and she was still in the temple, and Joseph went ahead doing his things, right? Now, then Mary had an encounter with the creepy angel Gabriel. And before then, she had an encounter with the creepy Lucifer, right? She had an encounter with Lucifer. Lucifer trying to tell her not to be in the temple, blah, 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 blah. Any which ways, this is me summarizing. I am summarizing. And so she had an encounter with Gabriel. And Gabriel told her she's going to be the chosen one. She's going to have a baby. And she was like, how is this going to be? Right? And then she also had an encounter with Lucifer, trying to, trying to distract her from her calling and from her destiny. Now, in the movie, this encounter with Angel Gabriel was all a dream. It was in a dream. So it looks like she was hallucinating, if that's the word. It was in a dream. It didn't look like she had an encounter with him. It looks like she dreamt he appeared to her in her dream. But the alarming part of it is also how she conceived. Then it also looked like, because I was lost in the dream, Angel Gabriel met her, and then what happened? It just did not flow. The sequence did not flow. She slept, and then she woke up, and she was with a child, and it became like a thing. And this is also like a dream. Everything was like, she dreamt, and Gabriel told her about it, and then she dreamt like, I don't know how. That's how she conceived, how she took in, was just the sequence just did not flow. But anyways, she was in the temple, she was already called out, and then they found out she's with a child. And then we were like, how are you with a child? In the temple, the priest was upset, you're with a child. Yeah, I know. And then she was chased out of the temple, and Mary then went back to her parents' house. Her mother welcomed her with loving arms, but her daddy was disappointed. Joachim was disappointed and was like, you're going to embarrass you've embarrassed the family, you've put us to shame, and how are you with a child? And she kept trying to tell him that no, it's not me, and everything like that. I was chosen, and this and this and this and this and that. Okay. And then Mary went to stay with Elizabeth. She stayed there for a while. Elizabeth gave birth to John the Baptist. She was there. And then Elizabeth had to tell her that, look, you have to go back home, you have to visit your family. And so Mary went back home. Her father welcomed her with open arms. Her mother welcomed her as well. And then when she went back home, Joseph apparently has been looking for her. And Joseph came and knocked on the father's door and bashed on the door and said, where is Mary? Then Joachim opened the door, and Joachim lied and said, Mary is not here. Now Joseph left, trying to go look for Mary, and then Mary ran out of the house. And then why did you tell him I'm not here? And then she ran out and chased after Joseph, that she needs to talk to him. So meanwhile, all this while that she was pregnant, she was staying with Elizabeth, right? And Joseph did not know. Joseph hadn't seen her. The news of her being pregnant, when she got pregnant and everything, she was eating. And Joseph was not with her till she came back home, and then ran off to look for Joseph when he came to look for her. And then Lucifer appeared, and then Lucifer stirred the hearts of the Jews, and it was in a crowded place, and Lucifer stirred the heart of the Jews and said, this is the criminal, this is the adulteress, this is the This is the virgin that had a child. Stone her to death. Everybody stone her to death. Stone her to death. Stone her to death. You know, and then the Jews, everybody was angry, picking up stones and trying to attack Mary and stone her. And then Joseph came, defended her, and saved her. You know, it was violent again. And then Lucifer disappeared. And then saved her, and then he carried her somewhere to go and hide. And then when they were hiding, that was when they now had their real very first conversation about the child and the baby, which I'm like, is not aligning. Like, a lot of things did not align. A lot of things wasn't just logical. It wasn't aligning. Okay, so that was the first time they had like a real conversation about the pregnancy, about the child. And then it was like, I am ready for you, I am here for you, literally paraphrasing, I am here for you, I want this child. Because Mary initially was like, I know you might not want the child, you might not want to be a part of it. I was like, no, I am here for you, I want this child. Because in the movie, I can't remember if Joseph had an encounter with Angel Gabriel, and Angel Gabriel telling him that this child is from the Lord, this child is from God. No, Joseph did not have that encounter. Now, they all went back home and decided to celebrate and have like a real marriage ceremony to join Mary and Joseph together, which they did. But prior to this time, there have been rumors circulating throughout Jerusalem that the king is going to be born. And this rumor got to King Herod. Now, King Herod, being a ruthless psycho king, began to go crazy and obviously started looking for who the king is going to be. Right? His initial expression was like he didn't believe, till a shepherd went to tell him, and then I think later on the wise man went to meet him talking about the star. And then I think that is when he was really convinced, and then he started to get worried. Moving forward, they had a celebration. Mary and Joseph, they were officially married, you know, and they had a celebration and they got home. But on getting home, their house has been attacked. And the reason why their house was attacked was because one of the people working with Joachim, we really don't even know who that is, what his character was there for, right? He has just been monitoring and following Joachim and watching him, and then he goes to tell Marcellus, who is the king's right-hand man, and then that guy goes to tell Marcellus that Joachim was harboring zealots in his house. So because the zealots were already rebelling against King Herod, and then Joachim was supposedly harboring some zealots in his house, and that's why the house was burgled. So they fled. As they were running, and you know, they encountered different setbacks, but everything they settled it with violence. They were attacked even when they had a shelter, and Joachim was killed right there and there. Mary crying, the mother crying, and everything like that. But after his death, they still had to move on. They had to move on, right? They kept on with the journey. They kept going. And then different people helped them, but they were also killed. Violence, and then they were killed. But meanwhile, as all this was ongoing, King Herod was going crazy, and literally started looking for all the male babies, all the male children. He started calling for their heads, right? While Joseph and Mary fled to Bethlehem without Anna. That's the mom. They left the mom behind. Then this is when they show Joseph and Mary fleeing to Bethlehem. Why they fled to Bethlehem, according to the movies, because Joseph has some families in Bethlehem. And then they got to Bethlehem. Everywhere was full because there was an ongoing census. And so they could not get any room. And then they went to stay in a shelter. According to the movie, it was a shelter and not a manger. Mary gave birth in a shelter and not a manger. And then we see that the mother was suddenly there with her to give birth, and so she was pushing. So it was Mary, Joseph, and that's Mary's mom was there, and I think with Elizabeth when she gave birth. And then he showed Marcellus and King Herod's soldiers. They've gone wild, every city, every town, you know, killing people, killing babies. And then King Herod, that scene was epic. King Herod had a whole room, like a throne room, full of babies. They brought in all the newborn babies, all the newborn male babies, and they were lying down full. The room was full of babies, and he went frantic. Are you the king? Are you the upcoming? Are you the king? Are you the king? Are you the Messiah? Are you the Messiah? And then right there, some of them were saying, that is not the Messiah. The Messiah is not among all these babies. And he was more frantic. Who is the Messiah? And then he had an episode. I don't even want to go into that part. So he was already going crazy. But meanwhile, the Messiah has been born. Moving forward, Mary and Joseph had another help, right? And they were there, and that is how, I don't know how the ruthless Marcellus and his other soldiers came to that apartment or that shelter to look for Mary and Joseph. How did they know that Mary and Joseph was there? And how did they know that Mary was the one that was going to give birth to the king? Meanwhile, yes, they've given birth to Jesus, right? So let's assume they were there to look for any newborn, but that family was like in a secluded area. So it looked like they had an information that there was a baby in that house. So anyways, that happened, and then the family literally sacrificed themselves for Mary and Joseph to escape, and Mary and Joseph escaped, but they did not escape without Joseph killing Marcellus and literally burning him to death. The violence, the fire, it was like, and they emphasized on that part because they wanted us to see the guy was like literally in pain in that fire, burning him, and Joseph put him there, wrapped him with the net, and he was burning. And then they literally showed us that scene very well to know that it's real fire. It was really burning. It was really burning. The violence in this movie, the violence, it was I was like, that was too much. It was too much. It was too much. But anyways, summarizing this movie to an end, right? Joseph and Mary escaped with the baby Jesus, and King Herod obviously met his fate. And then the movie comes to an end with Mary and Joseph being able to go back to Jerusalem and go back to the temple when they were welcomed with open arms, like, we've been expecting you. We are happy you finally came. They were welcomed with open arms, and Mary made this statement of, oh, this very sweet, cute statement of, love will cost you a thing. Love will cost you a thing, but love was the word. This is me paraphrasing, right? And then the movie comes to an end. So after watching this movie, I got curious, like, what was the intention of the writers and the producers and the directors of this movie? And then I went online to find who produced it, what was it thinking, right? And then I saw like an interview where DJ Caruso, who is the director of the movie, said that the essence of the movie was to humanize Mary, was to make Mary relatable. And then he says that if you understand Mary, and then if you love Mary, you will be able to love Jesus. I was like, okay, I get your point. I see your point. Mary is already being celebrated. Mary, we all know, is a special one. But my point here is that this movie even deflects from showing the real power of God in the life of Mary. Because now if you look at it, the entire movie, it felt like these people, these characters were strong. They were able to accomplish what they accomplished because of their own strength. Yes, this movie did not show the power of God at all. Every time there was an issue, someone was being wise, someone was being smart, and someone was being violent. Joseph was violent. And Mary, the character of Mary, was like, oh, she is strong. She's a strong woman, right? I get that. Then there's this scene where Mary was with Elizabeth, and then Elizabeth said that you need to go back home. And Elizabeth is saying that believe in the power within you. Believe in your own strength. Literally, believe in your own strength. But no, like, everything that Mary was by the grace of God. not our own strength. Jesus is the special one. He is the one that was the chosen one. He is the special one. He is the chosen one. And he's the reason for the season. Like, Jesus is the main prize, not Mary. Idolizing Mary. No, that everything was her strength. No. And then the violence. Joseph was prone to violence. Why? Why do you have to portray Joseph as a very violent person, and that everything, the whole way they escaped and everything was because of Joseph's strength and his violence? No. Like, he quickly picked up the stone when they were making fun of Mary, and then also defending and killing people and slashing people and then burning people. Really? And then the scene where, Joachim had to lie. Joachim lied. Joseph also lied. Joachim lied. The violence was not necessary. Honestly speaking, after watching the movie, was I impacted? No, I didn't feel impacted. I didn't feel like drawn and motivated to love God, to love Jesus, according to the director, to love him more, to love God more, or to love Jesus more. I did not feel it. And this is from a Christian. Now imagine unbelievers, what they will see when they watch this movie, right? So the aim of the director is not even accomplished for me, right? No, it wasn't accomplished for me. And I was watching this movie also with family, and I can tell you, even the kids did not understand the movie. The movie was not either biblical, was not inspiring, was not stimulating, like, or leading anybody towards the faith. It did not give me that long-lasting impact of saying, oh, now I love Jesus more. Now I understand him more. Because the director's goal is for us to be able to love Jesus through the life of Mary. But I tell you, the life of Mary was not truly portrayed in the movie enough to move me to love Jesus more, or to even love Mary as a person. Because after the movie, I just sat down like, what did I just watch? 2 hours of my time watching this movie. Is it even biblical? Because if the director's aim was to make us love Jesus more, understand Mary more, understand Mary so we can love Jesus, it didn't work. It didn't work, because I didn't leave that movie feeling inspired. I didn't leave that movie like feeling like, oh, I want to repent. I'm sad. Like, I was, inspired. Then I was like drawn to the story emotionally or spiritually. There was no spiritual connection. There was no emotional connection. It was like I'm watching Troy, the movie Troy, or I'm watching Achilles. I'm watching, those Roman movies, the Roman Empire movies where they are killing and slashing, it felt like that. That was the vibe that the movie was giving. That was the vibe. Like, it was solely for entertainment, right? I know that they must have gotten artistic license and all that, but the beginning of the movie, Mary assures us that you think you know my story, but you don't. That means that this is supposed to be the true life story of Mary in the Bible. Mary, the mother of Jesus. I wasn't feeling it. And this is me being a believer. And I wonder how unbelievers would watch it. I wonder what impression they will have. And I wonder if this movie can be seen as a family movie. Can you watch this movie with your kids, with your teenagers? They will have lots of questions. They will definitely have lots of questions, right? And so that's why I'm just thinking, what category do we put this movie in? So yeah, that is my own honest review about the movie, because to me, honestly speaking, the logic behind the movie is just not logicking. Okay, all right guys, so put your comments in the comment section if you're going to see the movie. If you've seen the movie, what do you think about the movie? Please put your comments in the comment section. And if you like any part of anything in this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much, and share this video to your friends and families. Tell someone about that Inspire YouTube channel. Till I see you next time. Bye.